ladies, welcome back to day 4 of the Here We Are Feminism Party. Today we are, you guessed it, talking about young adult books that feature feminism and feminists. This is, as you may have probably been able to guess, one of the hardest categories for me because this is my wheelhouse, this is my jam. These are all books that I kind of put into the mental category of books I wish I had when I was a teenager and growing up and kind of forming my own feminism and realizing what all of that meant. So these are books that are mostly newer, but I think just really will end up standing kind of the long run test of time and are definitely worth your time picking up. The first one is one that I literally just read at the beginning of the year. That is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. When I pitched this, I pitch it as Arabian Nights meets The Night Circus. That can be a dangerous pitch because we all know how I feel about comparing things to The Night Circus. But here's the thing. This book gave me very similar emotional feelings when it was doing its second world fantasy world building. The plot of Star-Touched Queen involves Maya, a young girl whose foretold prophecy is one of death and doom and destruction. So when she marries the Prince Amar and he kind of fulfills that for her and he's able to take her away to his new kingdom, at first she's relieved, but also she is worried because she's not sure if that means she's going to bring death and destruction to this new kingdom that she's now a part of. So we learn very quickly that Amar is actually the prince of the underworld, which leads Maya to have a whole bunch of different questions and new questions and to open up a whole new world for her. But one of the things that I love the most about this book is that there are several scenes that take place in something that's called the night market. The night market is a gathering place for the creatures of the other world, for fantasy beings, for people of magic to come together and to gather. Those scenes will literally take your breath away. Also, look at this cover. Can we just not take a minute to look at this cover? I absolutely loved it. The sequel is getting ready to come out end of this year, early next year. I'm not entirely sure, but I am in line for an ARC. I just really loved it. If world fantasy, if Arabic fantasy is something that you haven't really gotten into or that you are looking to pick up, or if you're really into Haiti Persephone's retellings, which you should be, this is a really, really great one. Also, Maya is really badass. Maya spends a lot of time in this book just being a really great person of agency. Even though she makes a lot of wrong decisions, she makes a lot of decisions, period, which in a courtly novel that involves a lot of prophecy is something that I was kind of surprised to see. So it's also definitely something worth mentioning and worth factoring into when you pick it up. The next book is another one that I read just, I think last year, year before, but I cannot stop talking about it. I feel like it's in every one of these young adult feminist videos that I make, and that is First by Lori Elizabeth Flynn. Here's the thing. If there is like one thing that I wish we could talk more about in young adult books than we do, it is sex. Sex, having sex, first time about sex, masturbation, homosexuality, things, a non-binary sexuality, all of these things that are part of growing up and defining yourself as a teenager that we really just don't get into the way that we need to in a lot of books. This book does, though. This book talks about losing your virginity, what it's like to lose your virginity, kind of the myth of importance that a lot of people can put around virginity and how that operates within different social spheres of high school. This book is basically about a girl who has decided that she had such a bad time losing her virginity that she's going to work with virgin boys to help them get better at sex. So when they take their girlfriends' virginities, they're not as bad at it. She feels like she's like paying it forward and doing an act of service by doing this. She learns that gets a little tricky and it can get a little complicated, and her original emotional detachment very, very quickly starts to go away. And so it's a book about regret and decisions and not regret. There's no regret surrounding the actual sex in this book, but there are a lot of things that I think this book does really, really well that I would highly recommend picking up, especially if you've never really encountered sex positive writing or plots in your young adult, and if all the virginity stories you've read have been ones of how mythically important and life-changing it is to lose your virginity, then this is probably a perspective that would be worth having. The next one that I'm going to talk about is one that I read a couple years ago, but loved. Oh my God. I wish young Chelsea had this book so much. I wish I had this book so much. That is Dumpling by Julie Murphy. Here's the thing. Julie Murphy wrote a fat heroine who does not spend a whole lot of time worrying about being fat. Her being fat is a part of the plot of this book. That's what I appreciate. It's not just something that's like dropped in and then we never talk about it again, because that does not necessarily feel like accurate or true representation to this fat person. But we also don't get a lot of the dreaded like trying on a dress and she pops the buttons scenes, which like that doesn't happen. Fat people know they're fat. We know the right size clothes to try on. That's a different conversation for a different time. But it does factor into the decisions that she makes, the ways she feels about her life and herself. And it's just really, really great fat representation, especially in a plot that involves beauty pageants and being beauty queens and being cynical versus being sincere, and how to kind of chip away at some of that cynicism that you can develop when you're a fat person operating in a skinny world. So yeah, there's just a lot about this book that I really, really appreciate. It's really funny. Julie Murphy writes with this really great Southern voice. So if that is something that you've never read before, if it's something that you're looking for, if you're a fat person and you want fat representation and you're a young adult, this is a book that I would recommend picking up. It's not perfect. No book can be perfect, but in a world where we don't have a lot of touchstones for that kind of representation, this one is definitely worth it. And then I have 2 more books to talk about. The first one is Of Fire and Stars. This is lesbian fantasy. Look at it. 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 There. So do you see them? Do you see them holding hands? That's 2 girls. There's 2 girls holding hands on the front cover. It's so good. Oh my God. This is a book where one of the girls has been betrothed to the brother of the other girl. She's going to be the new queen of this kingdom, and his sister is kind of this warrior, king of the guard, or well, queen of the guard, kind of role to fill. Guess what? They fall in love, because fuck that guy. They fall in love together. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, full confession, I have not actually read this yet. This is the next book that I am picking up, but I'm just so excited. How does that pitch not sound so good? How does that cover just not bring you in? So I'm just really, really excited to pick this up. I am full here for lesbian relationships and young adult books, especially in young adult fantasy books. The last one is one that I just finished last night. It's one that I don't know if I can do justice to. This is Rainy Patel and Pull Effect by Sonia Patel. I'm just going to read you the back. To my ladies, it's up to you. Stay strong through this life like you are bamboo. His control ate love. Do not misconstrue. You be Marie Curie. Feel free to disagree and get a degree. Not under his lock and key, your true potential set free. Stand up to the persecution and make your contribution. Call my solution a female revolution, retribution in the form of rhyme electrocution. So Rainy Patel is sick. Rainy Patel shaves off all her hair. Rainy Patel is a rapper. Rainy Patel is just trying to get through life. This book is an open wound. Sonia Patel does not sugarcoat or try to weave a fairy tale from heartbreak, sorrow, and patriarchy. You know, the kinds of things intended to bend and break girls who rap and chop all their hair off. Girls like Rainy. But Rainy writes words that go boom, and in Rainy Patel in full effect, so does Patel. That's the blurb from Isabel Quintero. How does that not make you want to pick it? I just really, really cannot. This book is so goddamn amazing. Rainy Patel is Indian. She's a rapper. She's just out of high school. She's young. She's trying to navigate through life, but the words in this book flow with a kind of beat because she's a rapper. It's like reading music. It's like listening to Hamilton, but not in print form, and about an Indian girl. And it's so good. And it's one of those books that as soon as I finished it, I said out loud, like, God, I wish I'd had this book when I was young. Like, this is the kind of book that I would have read and gone like, wow, I can fucking like fuck other people. Like, I can just be me. Like, I can write my weird poetry and I can do what I want to with my physical appearance, and other people can get on board or they can get the fuck out of the way. Like, that's what this book is. That's what I love about this book. Please go read it. Also, this another just like stunning cover. I love the pink and the green. I love this book. Everything about it. So there you go. Those are my young adult book. That whole pile just fell over. Those are my young adult book recommendations for you to pick up. 5 amazing feminist young adult books. Obviously, this is not an all-inclusive list. Please let me know down below if you've read these or if you have other recommendations, because I'm always on the lookout for more books to read. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Have happy reading. Bye.